This is the Sermon Podcast. I am Coriel, and I'm back with another soul snatching download that I've gotten directly from God. Well, okay, let me say this week's sermon came from God, of course, but it came through the gram. Okay, I talk a lot of ish about Instagram and all of the negativity and toxicity that happens online, right? But sometimes we come across some things, some people, some resources that are, helpful, valuable, or just help to get our minds right. And so today's big dog status sermon is centered around this clip that I saw of Dr. Tracy Lynn. If y'all have not heard of Tracy Lynn Jewelry, y'all got to look it up, okay? Because this is a bad woman, all right? Check her out. But I just want y'all to listen to this clip so that you know the inspiration for today's podcast.
I have a big dog. She's about 65, 70 pounds, my Coco. And when she was a little puppy, I would put the mirror up to her, and she would lick the mirror. And recently, my son put the mirror to her face, and she ran. She was scared of the image that was staring back at her because she forgot she was a big dog. So to all the big dogs out there,
now, if that didn't just get you fired up, stick around, because we are about to get into it, because I know that it is not just me that has found myself looking in the mirror and staring at an unfamiliar face. Maybe it's because I'm scared of who I've become. Maybe it's because me mentally accepting who I've become is not yet physically caught up with me physically becoming who I am now. There's so many reasons that we could look at ourselves and feel like we are staring at a stranger. But today I am talking about the people who have found themselves playing small, forgetting who they are, because they're really scared of showing up as their full selves. Because it's not that you're necessarily scared of failure. What if you win? What if all these things that you've been praying about, all these things that you've been begging God for, all these things that you've been putting on your vision board, all of these goals that you've been going after, what if that thing actually comes to fruition? What if God has not been playing with you all along? Today, I want to remind you of the big dog that you are. That just because you've spent a whole lot of time, way too much time playing small, does not mean that you are out of time. Okay, I believe that even baby steps are ordered steps. And so I am encouraging you today to put yourself in position by getting out of your own way, by not talking yourself out of what you feel like you cannot do, what you don't think that you are ready for, and really recognize who God has crafted you into right this moment, without you learning anything else, without you knowing anybody else, without you doing anything else, without you trying to be someone else. You have already unlocked big dog status. And guess what? That's what I had to realize. Everybody else already see it. Everybody else already sees it in you. That's why sometimes they're threatened by you. That's why sometimes they don't understand you. That's why sometimes they quote unquote hate on you. Okay. That's why sometimes they just don't get it, because not even necessarily that they just don't get it. They see it. And they don't want you to recognize it. They want to keep you stuck. It reminds me of The Lion King. Okay, there's this part of The Lion King that I didn't really recognize or dive into until maybe last year. And I think it was in working with my life coach. But if y'all remember when Simba had gotten scared, the hyenas had ran him out of town, and he ended up stumbling into Timon and Pumbaa, right? Timon and Pumbaa was a warthog and whatever else they were, but very much so beneath the lion in terms of the lion kingdom, the animal kingdom. So all of the silly little things that they were doing while they were, taking care of him and, making him feel welcome, they knew who he was in terms of him being a lion. Not necessarily that they knew he was the Lion King. He was, Simba, but they knew that he was a lion. They knew that he was big dog status. And it was their goal to make sure that he did not recognize that he was big dog status. Because what's going to happen if he realizes who he is? What's going to happen if he remembers who he is and whose he is, that he is the son of a king? Oh, well, if he remembers who he is, baby, he might turn on y'all. He might realize his power. He might recognize his strength. He might realize that he doesn't need you after all. He might boss up once he recognizes that he truly is the big dog. And so your job, because you recognize that you do not have that same big dog status. You recognize that you do not have that same favor. You recognize that your sauce just ain't quite the same. So you're going to do everything in your power to try to confuse me. You're going to do everything in your power to throw me off. You're going to do everything in your power to throw your opinions at me in such a way that I start questioning myself. And so I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that you are here right now because you needed a reminder that you got to remember who you are and whose you are, that God has perfectly crafted you into exactly who he needs you to be so that you can step into your full potential, unlock that big dog status, and step into that purpose, step into that calling, get in alignment with God's assignment. But you can't really get into alignment if you don't recognize the status, the position, the power that God has already given you. Because if you don't recognize it, if you don't recognize that you're a big dog, you're going to be sitting around pouting like you're a little puppy. Not even realizing that you already got the power. Not even realizing that God has already given you every single thing that you need to get every single thing that you want. But you still sitting around playing like you a little puppy. So today I came to remind you, to encourage you, to inspire you, to challenge you to step into the big dog that you truly are. We jumping off the porch in 2024. We are jumping off of the porch and into our purpose, okay? Like a big dog, like only a big dog can. The only thing stopping you from fully stepping into your potential is you recognizing that it's already within you. Is you realizing that it's not on the outside of you. It's you understanding that you are one choice, one decision, one connection, one conversation, one introduction away from everything that you've been praying for. God has already put you in position. God has already aligned you on your path, but you got to stop playing with your potential. You have to recognize that God has already put you in that place. You over here doing all this praying, not even opening up your eyes for long enough to recognize that you already got the power that you need to become the person that you are being called to be so that you can have what you want to have, do what you need to do, and truly be the woman that God created you to be. We are no longer valuing outside opinions over our own. We are no longer putting more value on what they say over what he said. Now, I tell y'all this all the time. I am not a Bible girly, okay? Your girl cannot recite a scripture. But what I do know that God created me in his image. I do know that I have that same power within me that I can tap in, that I can tune in, that if I really, really get serious about seeking him in all that I do, if I really, really tap into that spirit of obedience, that's how I can unlock the opportunities that I've been praying about. That's how I can truly move past all the obstacles that may come up. It takes that obedience. But I can't be so focused on the opinions of other people that I am swayed from being obedient. Because when I'm so worried about what they got going on, I forget what God has for me, what God has told me that I need to have going on. And so we are no longer valuing the opinions of other people outside of our own. Because our opinions are based on our obedience. We're not just sitting down pulling things out of the sky. Okay, we're not just sitting down coming up with strategy and creating goals out of nowhere. We are tapping in and tuning in and checking in with God so that we are sure that we are being obedient, that our opinions are coming from obedience. Now, when we fully tap into that obedience, then we will be able to trust our ability to turn those obstacles into opportunities. I believe that us just having faith is going to create opportunities for us. You just tapping into this conversation and then having a little subtle reminder as you go on throughout your day that, baby, I'm big dog out here. That even when you get to work, even when somebody starts playing in your face, even when your homegirl starts hating on you, even when your kids start getting on your nerves, even when your boss starts beating down your throat with another deadline, you remember that you got big dog status because God said so. Co is just here with a reminder. I'm just here to remind you of who God says that you are. I don't have the power to give you the status. I just have the power to remind you. My platform, this podcast, is just a reminder of who you are, whose you are, and all that God has for you when you are willing to be obedient. I believe that every single blessing comes from God, but I also believe that every single blessing comes through people. So with that belief, I know, I trust, I have full faith that right now, God has people in position surrounding me at every angle. All across the globe, God got people in position with the power to bless us. But we got to make sure that we're in position. And the only way that we can ensure that we are in position is by being obedient. So how can we be obedient? For me, the way that I am able to consistently remain in a spirit of obedience. It's not just being obedient. It's not a destination. It's a journey. It's a consistent and a conscious effort. It's a decision. It's a choice to be obedient versus just doing what I want to do, getting in my own way. Because my opinions are going to be based on my limited perspective, based on these 38 years that I've lived. God's plan is based on things beyond what we can see, beyond what we can envision, beyond what we can imagine, beyond what we can Google, okay? Beyond what we can find out on YouTube. And so in order to truly tap into that obedience, speaking those affirmations are important. Really, really keeping top of mind who you are. Reminding yourself on a, not even a daily basis, okay? Sometimes it's a minute by minute basis, tapping in and reminding yourself that God got you. That even when your current view does not match what you put on that vision board, that God is still working behind the scenes. That everything is still happening according to his timeline. It might not be happening based on your deadline, but it's always happening perfectly according to his timeline. So speaking those affirmations over yourself, being intentional with your time, because when you're intentional with your time, you limit the time that you have for distractions. They say an idle mind is the devil's playground, right? So when you assign every minute to a part of your mission, you limit the distractions. So setting those intentions, go back to the last episode when I talked about the 12-week year and how you can really start to put yourself on a time budget and set up systems in your life so that you can start seeing those goals come to pass. If you are truly focused on being obedient, you don't have time to worry about the opinions of other people. You don't have time to worry about what the people on the sideline have to say. You're too busy playing the game. You're too busy following God's play to be worrying about other people. So we're speaking our affirmations. We're setting our intentions. We are establishing and implementing, heavy on the implementing, boundaries. Because it's not just enough to say you got boundaries. Like, that's real tough talk. But when it's time to implement those boundaries, how tough are you then? That's a moment of silence. A moment of silence to your old self. A moment of silence to the 2023 version of yourself that was playing small. The 2023 puppy. A moment of silence. May she rest in peace. But in 2024, it's all about more. In 2024, we are jumping off the porch, jumping into our purpose, and remembering that God has already given us big dog status. It is my prayer that this message has encouraged you, that you are feeling inspired, and that you remember who you are and whose you are. If you have enjoyed it, if you are on fire, leave your girl a 5-star review. Okay. It helps me be able to continue to do what I love, which is spend time with you. If you stumbled across this podcast, definitely make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'm going to leave my contact information down in the show notes below so that we can stay connected on all social platforms. I love you. Got nothing but love for you. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Oh, and if y'all don't know, this sermon podcast is a spinoff from my Girl Stop Playing podcast. So I'm going to link that show below. It is full of over 100 episodes that's going to help you stop playing with your potential. I interview some dope people and I have some solo sermons that was literally the start of this sermon podcast. So I'm going to be dropping some bonus episodes over here on the sermon that are throwback episodes of the soul sermon episodes that I've done over the last almost 2 years. Okay. There's some oldies, but some goodies. Really good motivation to help you get your mind right because it's a daily, I'm not going to say it's a struggle. It's a daily journey. Okay. Because life be life, and even the most encouraged, the most positive, the most God-fearing person gets hit with obstacles and challenges. And so my goal is just to give y'all this goodness as often as I can. So thank you for being here. I love you. Catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Hey sis, is your business ready to flourish? It's time to find out if your business is investable from our little black book of funders. The Flourish Media Conference is a matchmaking weekend for women business owners just like you. We connect you with angel investors who are willing to fund your vision. Tickets are on pre-sale for $125 while supplies last at flourishmediaconference.com. Save the date right now for Friday and Saturday, February 16th and 17th for the 8th Annual Flourish Media Conference, powered by Flourish Media in Miami, Florida. Yes, we said Miami. FMC 24 is the perfect excuse to go to Miami this winter to meet Vivian and Dr. Tracy's very generous tribe to grow your small business. Google them. Read about them in Forbes. Are you looking for $10 million, $500,000, or even $80,000 to grow your business? Well, don't sleep on this opportunity because it only comes once per year. Then that's it. FlourishMediaConference.com, at Flourish Media Co. on all socials. February 16th and 17th, 2024. We'll see you there.